tasked with assembling an elite team to travel through time. All your worlds are about to change.
Hey guys, Nick here. Welcome back to another Legend of Tomorrow episode review. My thoughts on tonight's episode of Legend of Tomorrow, titled Star City 2046. And this was an episode that, you know what, like, it was a little cheesy, I'll admit that. And there's times in the episode where I was like things felt a little too convenient. But overall, I thoroughly enjoyed it. For what it was, I wasn't expecting, like, Oscar-level performances or story or anything. But, you know, like, ever since they announced this episode and, like, they said they're going to showcase Oliver as the future Green Arrow, he finally sported his goatee. They took some liberties with that. It wasn't necessarily a goatee, it was pretty much a full beard. But, you know, besides, like, the nitpicky things, again, like, I really enjoyed tonight's episode. Seeing future versions of characters and different versions of characters from the comics and stuff. So, you know, after last week's episode, when we see that tease at the end, when they show Connor Hawke as Green Arrow, no, of course that caught all of our attention. You know, it's like, oh, whoa, like, what's going to happen with that? And I kind of had this theory going on, but it was confirmed tonight, that, you know, Connor Hawke, at least in this show's continuity, at least in this potential future, he is John Diggle's son, which makes sense, because who else, I'm just going to readjust myself, because who else would really become Green Arrow that's not related directly to Oliver? And it makes sense because, you know, like, in Arrow, Oliver Queen does have a son, and there was a time when they first announced that Connor Hawke was coming to Legends of Tomorrow, it was like, oh, so that son's going to grow up to become Connor Hawke. Nope, that's dead wrong. Diggle's son, John Diggle Jr., is in fact Connor Hawke. And I really like that because, first of all, the actor looks a lot like David Ramsey, the guy who plays John Diggle. And I like seeing that dynamic of, like Oliver, obviously Oliver, like, there's that, what's the word? I just like that dynamic between the two of them, even though it was only, like, a little bit. And even seeing, like, as cheesy as it was, seeing Deathstroke's son, Grant Wilson, become the new Deathstroke. Because, you know, like, they can't use the Slade Wilson version of the character for whatever reason. He's tied up with some DC project, we don't know what. But seeing that, you know, the son that they mentioned in the first season of Arrow, in the flashbacks, does in fact become Deathstroke in the future, or at least in this potential future. I like seeing that. And yes, again, a little cheesy. The costume was a bit of a knockoff, and of course, they changed it up. And some of the things that bother me about this episode, I don't want to get too nitpicky because, again, this episode, I liked it for what it was. It didn't, like, further the story or anything. It was I thought it was a decent filler episode, but again, some things that I thought were a little. They never explained what happened with Star City. If this whole, like, uprising or whatever was just in Star City versus nowhere else. And they're talking about how certain characters are dead or they left. They weren't really. They didn't do a great job of explaining what happened to the city. It just felt like, I don't know. One thing I've noticed about this show is because it's filmed, like, in Vancouver, all these sets feel the same. So anytime they show Star City, like, in danger, I feel like it's always been the same streets that they film on, that they just tear up and throw a bunch of fireballs and mess up cars and stuff. It always feels like too much of the same thing again and again and again. Like, first season with the earthquake thing, first season of Arrow. Second season, it was Slade's Army. And then, like, this, I don't know, I just feel like they're not doing anything new with the setting. So, that took me out a bit. But, you know, like, and besides, like, my nitpicky things, again, I really enjoyed it. And some of the things I really enjoyed about this episode was just seeing how much Sarah cares for her city and for Oliver's well-being, even at that point in his life. And we see Oliver, like, armless, and he's the Oliver we know still, even though it is the future version. And because of what happened, like, he's just secluded and does what he does. Anytime he suffers any serious loss, he just isolates himself from everyone. Everyone thought he was dead after he got, you know, de-armed by Grant Wilson. And some of the things that, like I mentioned earlier, like, this episode felt a little too convenient. I felt like it was a little too easy for Oliver to come back into the fold as Green Arrow. because all it took was like one talk from Sarah, and then he's like, okay, I guess I'll be Green Arrow again. Obviously, because like, this isn't Arrow, so of course they can't focus too much on Oliver. But you know what? Again, for this episode being what it was, I didn't necessarily mind it. And some of the... I enjoyed this episode, but I feel like I keep falling back to the negatives here. The one story thread in this episode that I really didn't care for at all. Actually, I didn't care for it. I just really didn't like it at all. The whole love triangle that they're trying to set up between Jax and Ray and Kendra, so stupid. It is so beyond stupid. Why are they doing this in another show? Why? I'm so sick of these damn love triangles in these shows. I've gone in the past in other shows and reviews about how I think it's so stupid. And I feel like at this point, they're not even doing a whole lot with Kendra as it is. Like, when Carter was around, I feel like they're utilizing her more as Hawke Girl. And now, like, she barely appears, like, as Hawke Girl in one scene, and the rest of the time, she's just used as a means to, like, to have Jackson and Ray fight over her. I don't, like, these writers sometimes, that's where I feel like Mark Guggenheim, like, one of the creators, that's where I feel like his input is in a little too much. Because, honestly, Mark Guggenheim is a sexist. Like, as much as he doesn't want to admit it, he just... Okay, maybe sexist isn't the right word. I just don't like how he writes female characters. And he writes them, like, as love interests, and he throws them aside for other male leads. And, you know, I hate that, because, you know what, it's like, you have this, like, strong female character that you're not utilizing. It's just... I hate when the shows do that, because, you know what, like, Ciara Renee, or however... I can't pronounce her name, I'm sorry. But the actress who plays Hawke Girl, it's just, like... I feel like she sat on the sidelines pretty much like all the last few weeks, and it's like, do more with her. I feel like there's more for her to do when Hawkman was around, and now that he's gone, she just like stays in the ship the entire time, except for like the one fight scene. I like that fight scene, by the way, but I don't like how these shows write these female characters sometimes. It pisses me off as a fan. These actresses deserve way better than that, and I don't know why sometimes they don't speak up and say something like, hey, like, can't I do a little more? Like, especially as Hawke Girl. Hawke Girl's one of the most badass DC female characters. And they're sidelining her and making her, like, the object of another stupid love triangle? It's so stupid. Which she already has someone, Carter. Granted, he's dead right now, but, like, she has someone who she's supposed to be with. Like, why are you introducing this stupid love triangle thing that you've never addressed at any point in the show at all before? Like, I hate that so much. And I'm sorry, I'm just gonna change the subject now. But seeing the different the fight choreography in this episode, I did like seeing that a lot. Except for, like, the whole them fighting like Deathstroke's goons or whatever. That felt was like, I was like, okay, come on, these guys are taken down way too easily. But you know what, like, I like the fight scene as a whole. Like, this episode, yeah, it has a lot of problems. But again, I enjoyed it for what it was. I like seeing Oliver in this future Green Arrow garb. I like seeing Connor Hawke, especially, and how they twisted his backstory, making him Diggle's son. I like seeing that. And you know what? I kind of want to see more of Connor Hawke. Like, there's enough there that, you know what, like, and Oliver believes in him. Obviously, it's Diggle's son. And you know what? I want to see more of that character, like, more of those things fleshed out a little bit. But of course, this is like a filler episode, so more than likely, Connor Hawke is not going to come back. But who knows? Stranger things have happened on this show. But you know what? I think that's going to be it. I mean, I'm sorry if I sound like too much of a negative Nancy here. But you know, like, this, besides its glaring problems, especially with how Kendra was written in this episode just as an object of, as a love interest, and other cheesiness, I did like the episode, and I did like seeing how Sarah's relationship with Oliver in this episode, and I liked seeing, again, new dynamics of the team. That's always been my main positive throughout the show. I do like them introducing new dynamics of character, or having characters interact that necessarily wouldn't have interacted before. I do like that kind of setup. But, you know, of course, this show, it's still struggling a bit. It's still, I mean, it's its first season. It's still trying to figure itself out. And any of the episodes like this where there's, like cheesiness issues or, like, other issues, I kind of forgive them if the show picks up. And, you know, I've had my problems with this show for the last few weeks. And yes, like, this episode in particular had some problems that carried over from last week. But you know what? Like, I'm still looking forward to the show week after week, as long as it, you know, doesn't do anything stupid. But you know what? Again, I'm still gonna give the show a shot. So, With that being said, I think that's going to be it for me, guys. So if you guys like what you see here, go ahead and hit subscribe below. I do review all these superhero shows every week. I review Supergirl on Mondays, Flash on Tuesdays, Arrow on Wednesdays, and of course Legends of Tomorrow on Thursdays. And I have a bunch of other videos and stuff on my channel. Give this video a thumbs up. Did you guys like this episode? What did you guys think about it? Did you like what I didn't like? Did you guys disagree, agree? Let me know in the comment section below. And so yeah, that's going to be for me. So until next time, guys, have a good one.